Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is One of One, but you can call me Seven, and in the last episode of Witch on the Holy Night, we got probably what is one of the most goated visual novel moments I think I've experienced. I've read quite a few at this point, but then again, maybe my definition of quite a few is probably different than a lot of other people's who regularly enjoy visual novels. But look, Sojiro is he's my king. He's actually my whole royal family. King, queen, prince, and princess, all right? He is, that guy is everything. Holy crap. I won't get into speculation yet. I won't try and discuss, like, what happened to him, why he, well, not what happened to him, what he is, what he came down from the mountains, like, what he went away from to go live in the city, live in Misaki City. There's a lot of stuff here, and I have a lot of questions, but we're not even necessarily out of the woods yet. Our three heroes are they've still got one angry mage to deal with. But where we left off, it seemed like Toko was out of resources. I don't know. The danger's not past. But Sojiro has a handle on Beowulf at least. So we'll see what happens now. Still don't know if we're close to the end of the visual novel. I still have no idea, but I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next. So I've got my Pocky. You guys grab your snacks and your drinks and let's get started. Okay, so this is talking about Toko. Yeah, we're looking at things from her perspective now. That's what happened at the end of the last episode. So, for 3 years, she had labored selling her work to the association, and she had used 20 years worth of hair to mobilize an army of familiars. It was now or never, or there will not be another time for her to attack both Alice and Aoko, because if they survive this, they are only going to get stronger. Yeah, Beowulf is incapacitated, man. She failed. She had overestimated the werewolf's power. It should have been enough. Against mages alone, Beowulf by himself would have been enough to ensure complete victory. But things did not always go according to plan. Beowulf's incredible strength was conditional. She knew he was not infallible, so why hadn't she prepared a contingency plan? Her heart as cold as ice, Toko stared at Sojiro, who stood tall. Oh my god, his arms were a hideous mess. The arm he used to strike Beowulf's head on, the arm he used to strike Beowulf head on barely even resembled an arm. His bones were bent out of shape, his muscles were torn to shreds. To say his arm was simply broken would be a gross understatement. Streams of crimson ran down his other arm onto the white snow. The elbow he drove into Beowulf's back was likely shattered and his muscle and tendons torn up to his shoulder. Judging from the state of his arms, it was doubtful he would be able to use them again. Hey, oh yeah, worse than his arms or his left leg and no doubt his internal organs too. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure this guy's still got other body parts he can use. He might be pulling a Deku from My Hero. Yeah, use the left leg to take the full brunt of Beowulf's charge. At a glance, it looked fine. But it was not just a useless hunk of meat attached to his torso. His insides were worse. Supporting the weight of Beowulf had ruptured his spine, causing widespread internal bleeding. Jesus Christ! I didn't know he got so injured, what the hell? Basically, he was a dead man standing, a bird with clipped wings. Living like that would not be living at all. He could barely stand, let alone fight again. In contrast, the collapsed werewolf was unscathed. Only once had he coughed up blood. The majority of the pool of red on the snow was Sojiro's, a crimson tapestry telling the story of the boy who stood strong and defeated a werewolf. And I know I said I wouldn't talk. What's crazy about this is where Beo was taught to feel fear. He really got hit with the "you're gonna learn today, boy" kind of lesson. He really got hit with the "you're gonna learn today" kind of lesson. And it shattered him because he realized that Sojiro was only doing to him what he had done to the girls. Because if he had killed one of them, he could tell that Sojiro would have killed him, because when he looked at him, he only saw an emotionless insect? Was that what it was? He only saw an insect, like something with no emotions whatsoever, which is way more terrifying than a normal person. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You strike and you face the consequences, especially if you hit a werewolf. It would be like punching a moving freight train. Did he? Perhaps he had known what would happen. Animals instinctively limit their strength in order to protect their body. Compensating for physical weakness with intellect and technique was humanity's forte, and that clash had shown humans at their very best. And yet, it had also been beyond human. He had attacked without concern for his own safety, without self-preservation in mind. He could go beyond human capability, enough to strike through the steel-like fur of a legendary werewolf. But who would have thought that a beast, able to withstand a shot from a tank, would be felled by a mere human? No, that's not right. The boy didn't break because he struck without hesitation. He struck knowing he was going to break. He sacrificed his entire body to destroy Bayo's heart. Toko felt a chill come over her as she went over in her head what had transpired. It should have been a nightmarish scene, but she was captivated by that supreme display of physical rationality. From the outside looking in, she had witnessed not an accident, but a rational consequence. In that instant, the boy had put his entire being into piercing Bayo's chest. As soon as he laid eyes on Aoko and Alice, he had committed himself fully to the task. He sized Bayo up, synchronized his breathing, found his weak point, and calculated the exact position, timing, and distance he would need to hold his ground. He knew what he had to do to win. He knew his win cons, he knew his outs, and did it with everything he had. It had nothing to do with instinct. A wild creature would not have tried to beat something it could not. Only a human would risk his life when faced with the impossible. That's our boy. That's what he's been like all this time. He's defied expectations and logic for the entire time that we have known him. That contradiction fed his attack. He twisted his body from his heel to his neck to focus his energy. If Bayo had simply tried to run Sojiro down, the werewolf would probably have won. But the beast wanted to rip him to shreds. Or rather, he was baited into doing so. After Bayo charged, when he planted his feet, he raised his claw, then swung it downward, putting himself off balance. His pulse was erratic, his movement wild. In that moment, he was vulnerable. That was when Sojiro made his move. The beast had overwhelming power, but it was sloppy, whereas the human concentrated all of his meager power into a single point. That was how the human shifted the balance in his favor. Oh my god, look at him. Guys, look at him. Oh my god. That's him. He is him. The follow-up elbow attack would rupture Bayo's heart. It was a graceless second strike, a sloppy blow no different from Bayo's. The elbow was only able to penetrate the beast's golden fur because of the first attack to his chest. It left him wide open, took away his invincibility for a split second, and that was enough. Basically, the strike was not meant to break, but to disable. All living creatures had weaknesses. No matter how strong the creature, it had weak points and weak moments. Not just physically, but mentally too. A time when they aren't in their best shape, unable to focus or find motivation. Sickness or a lack of sleep or food, for example, can cause the body's rhythm to go out of sync. For a variety of reasons, intelligent beings risk losing their ability to function properly. Legendary beasts were no exception. I know some magecraft that targets weaknesses, but I've never heard of a technique that risks everything to create a weakness. The boy's strike to the heart was not an attempt to kill Bayo. It was designed to create a weakness in something that had none. The elbow attack took advantage of that break in Bayo's invulnerability. Laughably, it wasn't even a surprise attack. With Bayo's reflexes, he should have been able to react. But he didn't even realize he was being attacked. How do you teach that even something non-threatening can be a threat? She was frustrated, to say the least. The boy was totally committed, utterly selfless. He bet his life on that single moment without expecting a single thing in return. That boy had acquired the experience and skill to do such a thing. It was not a miracle of luck, nor a miracle of passion. It was not talent, tenacity, or hatred. Without constant intense training, no one could destroy their own body on a whim like that. He made a poor opponent for a child. Seeing Bayo cowering in the snow, Toko was disappointed in her own lack of foresight. She had used him for his talent alone, ignoring his inexperience. If Bayo was not a child, his life experience might have given him the strength to bounce back and devour Sojiro after regenerating. Should I scold you, Bayo, or praise you? Toko quietly lifted her left hand. Nobody noticed. Standing far away, the boy standing there looked like a hunter from a picture book. He had a slender build, but that was likely because he intentionally shed any excess. Given what she just witnessed, his cluelessness had to be part of an act, the act of a hunter. As she thought to herself, she suddenly remembered the first thing that crossed her mind the first time they spoke. I remember now and how I so wanted to forget, dear Sojiro. No sooner had she felt a slither of sentiment, she returned to her unshakable resolve. She was raised as the heir to the Alzaki household, taught never to question the morality of her actions. That was why, even now, she knew exactly what she had to do. What did you remember? Oh, I'm not good at inferring this. I might need to talk to you guys about that. About what she's talking about there. I'm glad that went well. Sojiro muttered, unmoving, perhaps because of the pain in his broken arms. Oh my god, big man. He did not look at Aoko. Instead, his gaze was focused on Alice, who was lying prone some way away. Aoko thought he looked lonely. That went well? What did? She asked, spurring him on. They were mere steps from each other, close enough to touch hands. Their quiet voices carried in the stillness. Don't you dare say you're happy we're alive, or I'll be so pissed. She was not joking. Sojiro turned away from her, slightly shaking his head. I'll say it a third time, but I'm not worried about your safety, Ozaki. You know, I can swear I blacked out back there just for a moment, he said, as an embarrassed smile crossed his face. The first time, he outright fainted, but the second time, his passion pushed the dizziness and nausea aside. Oh, when he saw Aoko again? Yeah. He just calmly did what he could as best he could. Nevertheless, no matter how calm he tried to be, deep within festered a very real rage. Okay, Sojiro, what is it you think went so well? Aoko's voice had a slight tinge of annoyance. Sojiro responded. Because I was finally able to keep my promise. You held up your end of the deal, but I hadn't delivered yet. That always bothered me. I'm so glad I got the chance to set things straight. His relief expressed itself as a small but heartfelt smile. Aoko listened, astonished. For a moment, she could not recall what promise Sojiro was talking about. When she remembered what he was talking about, what she had told him all that time ago in the amusement park, her mind went blank. If I agree to help you kill that thing, will you let me go? He proposed the deal, but in the end, he hadn't been of any use. It must have been eating away at him this entire time. Aoko considered the agreement binding, but only for herself. You were worried about that? She muttered in disbelief. Sojiro gave a nod and affirmed with a tiny voice. You're the one who taught me that promises are things you make to yourself, Ozaki. So as long as you keep your word, I need to keep mine. What a weight off my shoulders. As if listening to a confessional, Aoko stayed silent. She could not find the words to say anyway. Sojiro proved ever the enigma, taking such a trivial promise so seriously and speaking so sincerely about something so basic. She could not wrap her head around how he had beaten a werewolf. But his personality? That was the true mystery. It was no use trying to figure that out now. To Aoko Ozaki, he was a riddle wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in a conundrum. So, I've paid my dues. We're even, Ozaki, Sojiro said lightly, perhaps attempting to break the silence. Normally this would have passed her by, but she saw his kindness for what it was. It's me who owes you one now. I don't even know how to begin to pay you back, Aoko grumbled. Sojiro nodded in happy agreement. Anyway, your leg looks a lot better. Can you Oh, whoa, is this drawn in a different style? It seems more, I don't know, like real? I'm not sure. Can you stand? She shot him a stubborn look as if to say, well, duh, obviously. Ever amazed by her grit, he offered her his right hand. Despite being broken at the elbow, to Aoko, it looked as sturdy as ever. By all appearances, it was beyond recovery and would be for the rest of his life. Even so, he seemed able to ignore the pain for Aoko's sake. You really are hopeless. That's a classic. She uttered under her breath, looking up at him. As much as she hated to admit, she could not refuse his hand. Resigning herself, she reached out to Sojiro. But her hand never reached his. A small bell chimed. A line of wind whipped through the air. It cut through his waist like a guillotine. pieces began to fall. What were those things dropping before her eyes? Aoko could not remember who they belonged to. That used to be his name, right? The name of whoever lay in the red snow in front of her. His face now rested on the ground beneath her chin. The smell of viscera assaulted her nostrils. A river of blood flowed from what used to be a stomach. It happened so fast. Too fast for her mind to process, in fact. Her only solace was he probably did not suffer. How could she think that so calmly? Especially after what she had witnessed. Her blood boiled at her own stupidity, which begged the question: how should she treat the one who did this? She had used all her anger on herself. She had none left to give anyone else. But this hatred was hers and hers alone. Her problem was this: could she muster the emotions from this drought of anger? She was not sure. But the thought of hunting them down made her smile unconsciously in anticipation. Aoko turned to the old school building to where Toko was standing with her arm out in front of her. She had used the same rune magecraft she used against Aoko and Alice, except Sojiro had no magic crests. Toko's amber eyes were narrowed, staring intensely at the fallen corpse. As to what she might have been feeling, Aoko could not care less. Even if Toko felt regret, Aoko would never forgive her for as long as she drew breath.
やはり君からこうしておくべきだったな。
I should have killed you when I had the chance. Toko was not speaking to Aoko, but to the dead body. There was no response, no clouds of breath. Coming to terms that he was truly dead, Aoko pushed herself up to her feet.
案外無様ね。
I guess we keep going. That was surprisingly gruesome for you. Facing her sister in the distance, Aoko spoke
でも
hoarsely.
正しい選択だわ。
But you made the right
これで
choice.
勝負はやり直しだ
Now
もん。
we can finish this. She turned away from Sojiro and stared at Aoko. They stood far apart. Farther apart than their positions made them seem. Though there was nothing left to say, the two of them exchanged words in respect to the fact they were once sisters.
ああ、魔術刻印という私の
You've
切
seen the
り
aces
札は
up
この
my
通り
sleeve,
で。
my magic crests, and the werewolf you've trumped.
だが
I've used all my crests up, and your trump card's been torn to pieces.
そうね。
Stalemate.
私も甘かった。
Looks that way.
人
I
狼が
suppose I was
再起
naive
不能にな
too.
った時点で
I should have known you wouldn't accept
あなたが
defeat
敗
after
北
your
を認めた
werewolf
ので
failed.
本来ならそうなるんだけど。あな
If
た
you
が
weren't
そ
so
んなに
stubborn, you'd
諦め
never
が
have
いい
come
のなら
back to Misaki.
本当に甘かった。
I really was naive. It was clear to Toko that Aoko was trying to suppress her emotions. Aoko was right, though. Her sister had counted on Beowulf to succeed. As mages, no matter what cards Aoko or Alice had in their hands, they were helpless against the werewolf. But then, Sojiro had shown up, and Toko couldn't win as long as he was around. Unfortunately, though he had stopped the werewolf, he had been defenseless against the mage. So she had to kill him. With Sojiro out of the way, no one could hold Beo back. It would take time for him to recover, but as long as his wounds were only mental, that could be overcome. Alice and Aoko could try to attack again before he recovered, but Alice was being kept in check by the poison, so Toko still had the advantage. Stalemate still, the battle would drag on. So I've been wondering about this. I've been thinking about this the whole time. You guys who have read this know, and for those of you who don't, you might remember earlier on in the playthrough when Aoko and Alice were fighting at the amusement park, and Alice went to a different place to draw upon a well of power that would allow her to do what she did, which was essentially firing an orbital laser, except instead of it being in orbit, it was from the ground. So just a massive, massive laser. Something closed in on her. I might be misremembering the exact or the specific circumstances surrounding that event, but there was like a figure. It was hooded or maybe red or black or red. I can't remember, but it was like hunting her or something like that. It was in her head or not. That was not a helpful description at all, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Is this the Aozaki true magic that we're about to see? Now that Bayo is incapacitated for the time being? Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Powdery snow began to whirl around. The air around her wailed. It was magecraft that transcended all that was mystical. The gate to miracles beyond human comprehension, ready to show itself.
やる気のようね。
You always did love to fight, Aoko. Toko released the crests maintaining the fields. With that, her grandfather would be freed, and the barriers around Misaki would be restored, which was not what Toko wanted, but it was that or forfeit her life. The crests at her disposal were now twice as powerful as their sisters. Aoko gazed at this new threat with her eyes half closed. None of this was her concern. Far removed from the situation, she was searching for something hidden deeper inside herself, desperate to reach it. This thing that she has not been able to reach this whole time. There it was. An odd feeling, like picking up algae. It was not the fire of emotion. It was not solid, nor great. It must have been what people meant by rising to the occasion. Abandoning thought itself, Aoko held on to that feeling as she stared at her enemy.
いいわよ、トウコ。
All right, Toko. She spoke softly, yet more loudly than a
お望み
scream.
通り、本当
You
の魔
want true
法を
magic?
見せてあげる。
You've got it. Focusing her power into the dim crests on her right arm, she weaved the words together. A single incantation, a final, heartfelt farewell. A brilliant blue-covered magic taking time back to when a certain someone had been blessed. To put it simply, magecraft is human wisdom. It is the world as we know it. Magic is the singularity that exists beyond either of those. At the beginning, the first changed all. Next, the second recognized many. In answer, the third showed the future. Tethered, the fourth concealed itself, and the final fifth had long since lost its significance. Someone once said, had it only ended at the third. Magecraft is the study of history, feats of our making and life orbiting the planet. But true magic is the providence of a god beyond the heavens. Why do those who stand on the earth extol the virtues of miracles beyond humankind and the planet? This was an undeniable sin. Magic was the enemy of humanity. That is why those who obtain a new magic are killed by the Red Shadow.
聞け、万物の霊長。
Hear me, prime species of all creation. Aoko's voice resonated through and high above the winter skies. The air began to fracture, turning the scenery to broken glass. Toko wondered whether she should fight or flee. She decided to try and keep her feelings in check and see this through, but the object of her obsession for so many years was right in front of her. Rationality was slipping from her grasp. Both of their fates were now uncertain. Toko had an overwhelming advantage when it came to her crests in the terrain. When it came to true magic, however, if the Aozaki magic was anything like Alice Konji's fairy tale monsters, then maid strength was not a part of the equation. At this point, it was Toko against magic itself, and there was no winning against truth. The transcendence and idiosyncrasy of true magic rendered things like magecraft irrelevant.
だが
But can you? Toko stared at her sister, wondering if she could actually use it. Her proclamation lacked conviction. She had raised her voice, but that was out of discipline. It had not been the arrogant conviction to sacrifice someone else for her own gain. Having not been chosen to inherit it, Toko could not imagine what the magic in her sister was, only that it was a force violent enough to change the world. No human mind could withstand the audacity required to make an enemy of the world itself. Especially not someone as indecisive as her sister. The power of magic would surely cripple her. Holy shit. Well, feeling Toko's eyes on her, Aoko doubted herself. She could not help but hesitate. Terror gripped her heart tighter.
でもだからって
I have to. She could not run away forever. Her hesitation and terror meant she would never forgive herself for stopping now. Closing her eyes, she pushed herself into the final stage. Time stopped, like a light being switched off. She submerged herself in her own darkness. Everything froze. Only she moved. Everything around her disappeared as she passed a limitless stream of stars. And as soon as she did, she wanted to disappear into the empty thoughtlessness place she arrived in without any answers. Not again. The red shadow will surely come this time. Suddenly, I saw a new memory. Possibly because I used another to make the trade for... how many letters is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I saw a new memory, possibly because I used another to make the trade for magic? I heard a familiar yet new sound. I wish for nothing. I seek nothing. Only to fuse with the consciousness that hurtles backward in time to zero. This sound, the bitter, sad meaninglessness, pulls me by my hair. But I have to resist. The red ghost was always going to be my biggest hurdle. I must forget the value of life. I must forget the dignity of death. The sound persists. It's got nothing to do with this journey. It's just an external distraction, and yet I think I finally understand. I know what noise has been making me so uneasy. What the... The unsettling whispers were directed at me. Or perhaps the red shadow was perplexed by the quiet soul listening to it. It glares at me, its eyes full of hatred. How could I be so unprepared? Don't tell me. You can't be serious. You're going to turn me into your prey for that? That is your everything. You have nothing else. The effect of rewinding. The decision to never say never. His prime, his meaningless life. She negated it. She used her superior power to negate that sound, which was an absolute rule to him. Just brushed it aside, like it was a cobweb. The sound disappeared. A new one replaced it. I wish for nothing. I want nothing. A pure, obedient heart. That's why you get nothing. A life of falsehood led by affirmation. This is ridiculous. My legs move toward the future, but they stop. Change of plans. I'm taking a different path. Nothing's changed. It's just something has made me real mad. How can I put it? You call this the past, you idiot? If I don't complain about something to someone, I'll explode. Even if it's just to the voice, or to he who hears it. Or to the part of me who just stays quiet and watches. Or to the one who did that to him. With no answer, I open my eyes.
告げる
Holy shit. I declare. Aoko released everything she had dragged up. As for what was there or what she saw, she could not remember. All she held on to was the fury that burned in her heart. Pushed on by something, she did not know what, she opened the door to magic. The change was extraordinary. Beneath her, the snow vanished, replaced by a small patch of lush green grass. This ground had never existed under the frozen blanket. It had been rewritten into a new landscape. The very elements rejected her, as if the world itself was fighting back. The electrical discharge lashed at her body. This miracle threatened to destroy the world. The world had to protect itself. It moved to expunge her. Pain scorched her every cell, trying to tear away her consciousness. Holy crap, this music. But she did not falter. All this pain and this loneliness was to take her to the roots. Ever since inheriting true magic, she had suffered this torture time and time again. She contended against the voiceless protest of the cosmos. The burden engulfed her retinas and nerves in flames, and then... light. She finally understood. She remembers why she came back and what she wanted to scream. By the name Blue, I speak for order. Hear me. A censuring voice told her to stop. At the edges of oblivion, her hand touched the true form of magic. The snarling red shadow was there, telling her it was no use. So much doubt, so much fear. But such things mean nothing to her. To me. I don't care about a magician's obligations or the destruction of mankind. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. I only have one reason for doing anything right now. God, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Let's go! That's what we like to see, fellas! That's it right there! That's what, that is it! Oh my god, yes! I just want to save him. Oh, guys, we are in the money. Oh, we got it. Let's go! Oh, there she goes. All is not sane. Yet all shall be right. A blue whirlwind whisked up around her. Casting aside her doubt and sorrow, the magician played her trick upon the world. Time flowed backward. Oh, what? Is the schoolhouse going to turn back to normal? Or wait, what's happening? How far back are we going? Childhood memories were overwritten. Aoko? Dude, what the hell are you doing? White flowers appeared as far as the eye could see. Brighter than snow, they rippled like a wave across the world, devouring it. Whoa, hey! Outfit change? Hey, girly pop. Oh my god, you look so sick! 5 timeless words. Order has fallen to ruin. What was declared had come to be. In this time and place alone, the 5th magic made itself known. Which is... controlling time? In the blink of an eye, the snowy clearing had transformed. A sea of fully bloomed white flowers blanketed the grounds. Only the dilapidated school building and the bare winter trees signified this was the original world. Once cold snow now blew with a pleasant warmth across the landscape. Even the night sky was once again teeming with stars. If one reached out, one could almost touch them. It was a mix of comfort and solitude, quiet enough to carry the sound of insects flying through the air. A scene far removed from the impurity and grief of humans, a world with nothing, yet one that needed nothing. It was his most precious memory. The wintry tundra had changed into a spring meadow. Ako's so-called true magic confused Toko. Sure, it was pleasing to the eye, but she wanted to see something less idyllic. Ako's spell was clearly no small feat, but the surrounding meta had not changed. Better to be confused, though, than deal with something like Alice Koonji's flat snark. The only changes seemed to be the flower field and Ako's appearance. She seemed to have received some enhancement to her physical form, but it would never be enough to match Toko. Okay, so I know this is magic, Toko said with a hint of annoyance. But I'll be honest, this is a letdown. There has to be more, surely. This can't be it. Aoko began walking through the sea of flowers. She was not heading toward Toko. This is it, for me and for you. Ako's words sent a wave of unease through Toko. Her sister's voice seemed different, somehow. It was mostly the same in pitch, so it had to be the tone. No, that was the same too. Something was off. Could it be? It was then Toko noticed something else that had changed. Not just Aoko in the clearing. The severed body lying at Aoko's feet, it was now whole. Corpse reanimation? Wound healing? It did not look like Aoko had used a significant formula, and besides, regenerating a body did not bring it back to life. Since the dawn of time, even true magic has never been able to bring back the dead. But the body of the boy behind Aoko was moving. It was breathing, like it was taking a nap. Can the Aozaki magic resurrect the dead? No way, this isn't resurrection, it's... Before she could think of an answer, Toko realized what had seemed out of place to her before. Aoko's mannerisms appeared beyond her years. Her appearance had changed ever so slightly, but beyond there had been a change from within. By the time Toko arrived at that seemingly impossible conclusion, Aoko had closed the distance between them. She's using her magic circuit. Aoko raised her left hand to eye level. Toko could see, no, hear the magical energy generating inside Aoko. It was sound Toko had never heard before. Aoko only possessed single-function low-grade circuits no better than any other third-rate mage, so she generated magical energy at a much lower rate than Toko. However, this speed was absurdly quick, moving even faster than the blood pumping through her body. She about to barrel stuff her, just put it up to her face, and blow her head off? Magecraft could vibrate, but how in the hell were the activated magic circuits audible? Even the Association had never heard of such a thing. Onward to victory. Spurred to action by the sudden dread she felt, Toko hurriedly carved runes into the air. Toko summoned the divine protection of victory, Tyr, to surround herself with a barrier, which was further enhanced by her crests. Paying it no mind, Aoko held her arm steady, not moving it up to strike her target directly. Bullets, deploy. Aoko commanded herself succinctly. Aoko? This was beyond Magecraft. In just a few words, she had fired 20 magic bullets, like a meteor shower. The bullets smashed through the rocket-proof rune barrier as well as Toko's spell-woven coat. Oh god, she's about to get just shotgun blasted, absolutely obliterated. You shot them without loading? The protective runes lining her coat screamed. They would not be able to take another barrage like that, and she had already taken internal injuries. She loathed to admit it, but Aoko vastly outclassed Toko in terms of raw power. Even harder to admit was that her sister probably had not even brought out the big guns yet. An incantation? Jumping backward, Toko drew more runic symbols in the air. In response, her crest burned brightly. But too slow. Oh yeah, it's an anime fight. Hell yeah, let's go. With a single word, Aoko nullified. Dude, what the hell? Oh, I have so many questions, guys. I have so many questions. This is cool, but I don't know what's going on. And I don't know what kind of power she's drawing on. I just know that the magic makes the impossible possible. So this is the fifth magic in the flesh. Dissolving them before they could be given meaning, the power of Aoko's words had surpassed the magical energy of Toko's rune magecraft. With the runes nullified, Aoko continued advancing through the white flowers. From her calmness to the robust spinning of her magic circuits and her breathing, she was different. A woman with sublime self-control, a trait only found in mages with a lifetime of combat Wait, it's not resurrection. It doesn't seem to be. Is this? Did she bring herself forward in time? Did she bring a different Aoko? Is this not the same Aoko, but everything else was brought? I don't know. Is it like a slider where like you can choose at what point it's? I don't know. Oh my god, literally yes! I was right! You traveled in time. Holy shit, so... Okay, so... No, okay, well, hold on. Sorry. I'm freaking out, but there's no time for discussion right now. Given the evidence, that was the only explanation for the Aozaki magic. Aoko's magic circuits had not been amplified. That would have been impossible anyway. Like Toko, she would have to externalize them, which would just increase the scope of her magical energy and techniques. By nature, the quality of a mage's magic circuits did not change, but Aoko was now clearly a superior mage to Toko. So there was only one logical conclusion. In an instant, she had grown from an amateur to a veteran. She fast-forwarded her own time. The scarred red mage turned her back on her sister and ran. She knew she could not win, so she fled toward the old school building. Elko did not fire. Not out of pity, but because she deduced that an attack at this range was risky. She went to chase after her sister, but stopped suddenly. A few words caught in her throat. She took a small breath.
Alice, そいつ
Watch him, Alice. Oh, she said, slightly embarrassed by the maturity of her voice. White petals flitted through the air. Without looking back, she made after Toko, her long hair flowing behind her. And yeah, that, I think, is where we're gonna end today's episode. Guys, holy crap. Kinda speechless. I don't really know what to say. That was really cool, to put it lightly. I had no grounds for predicting something like this. If anybody wants to expand on what's going on here, give me the specifics and the lowdown without spoiling anything for the rest of the visual novel, please do. I'm really curious. But otherwise, I'll have to do my own research on my own time once we finish the game, which will not be today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I definitely did, and I will see you guys in the next video. So for now, have a good rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye!